gap in the fence looks promising. Just need to distract the guard.
Whose bright idea was it to put a circuit board in a fence?
Out of the way.
What was that?
Gotta move. Now.
Gonna check on our house guest. Stay here.
Copy.
House guest. Must be Standish. He's here somewhere.
Imagining things.
Need to draw him away from the stairs.
What the?
What's that? Got it. Time to move. Demons are killing anyone related to Devil's Breath. Standish is in real danger. Standish. I knew it. I've got to get to that tent.
Yes. Sort of like getting professional help, isn't it?
Right. Got everything finally set up on my end. Just listen. Ah, there you are. There's the camera. Right. Finally got it. Right, this button right here. Look at the email. Just make sure we're good. There we go. All right. All right. A new day. All right, Jake. How you feeling today?
Fine. Not really interested in this game, but cool. Orders are orders, and rules are rules.
That too, yeah. So, how come not interested in the meeting?
I feel like I want to do other things. Maybe go out shopping.
That makes a lot of sense. You can still do that for the most part today, though.
I know, but I know I
So,
can get there.
yeah. I mean, it's all good though. I mean, it's only about 50 minutes, so don't worry about it. You'll be able to do it, and then go back and kind of do another thing.
What do you want to talk about?
All right. So, let's get to it. So, for the next part, we're gonna kind of do a whole bunch of stuff again. Um, but over here, just kind of getting everything in. So sorry that everything just kind of seems a little bit all over the place. I just got out of one meeting currently, and I had to kind of do a little bit of notes. But let's talk about probably the one thing, the few things that we're still kind of working with for the most part. So one thing is still about building and maintaining friendships and stuff. So with that being said, what has been the most difficult part about maintaining and keeping friendships for you?
Well, probably like I've said before, that I'm interested in something and I try to share it with somebody else, thinking that they already know it, and when they don't know the subject I'm referring to, I'm like, what's the point then? Because all this explaining would probably wear my voice out, and I probably wouldn't do it accurately.
Gotcha. Okay. So I guess you more or less need to find people that's in your space, in your kind of thing, to find like the amount of people, right?
Yes, people who are within my expertise, my repertoire, and my space.
Hmm. Okay. Well then, what would that be then? What does that look like for you?
What would that be?
Yeah.
Finding someone who's very knowledgeable of my interests, of course.
That's about it. Just more or less about your interests.
Yes, and maybe helping somebody out or asking them if they want to make something with me.
Those things so far. That seems to be the biggest two factors that you're looking for.
Yes, and maybe I'm trying to think. Personal space. Oh my god.
So
Oh my god.
want all those things, of course, and then personal space. So it's like you want a friend, but also want to have as much space as you need. So kind of like your own time, own place, but also knowledgeable, and that way you can save your breath, not having to explain it every single time, and they're able to help you out. Is that it?
Yes.
Okay. So then, okay. So you told me about basically your ideal kind of friend style. Do you have any sort of idea that you how you'll be able to find those kind of people in your life?
Well, I find them online through social media. And of
Okay,
course, I sometimes find them in the workplace.
that's actually the
People,
best place to kind of start off with. Actually, yeah.
the people who I do find some interest in, I feel like that they're only there when I'm at work, and then when I leave them behind, like I never see them again.
Yeah, that's it's the sad part about being an adult. It's hard about to try to maintain like work life versus like social like
I know.
that, that is that's definitely the hardest part, the most part. So um okay, so since I've been of course for jobs and stuff like that, so you've been more or less taking a part of part time instead of full time, and of course, from your understanding, when you're busy, they want to hang out, but then when they're busy, you want to. Is that right?
Maybe. Sometimes I even ask them to hang out whenever they're off work, but apparently they've got other plans. And yet they never really asked me out before.
Mm,
Probably because they're too modest. I'm more open.
okay, interesting. Okay, so yeah, it definitely does also kind of hurt the factor when you feel like you have to ask over and over and over and over and over again, and then you feel like oh, it's a waste of time and stuff like that. Is that how sometimes you feel like you kind of get tired of it and it's a waste of time?
Sometimes.
Okay. Like, and you haven't stopped trying doing this, right? Like, haven't tried to like say like, hey, let's hang out, or you just kind of give up.
Sometimes I'm try when I'm really interested, and most times I've just given up.
Gotcha. Okay. So, when's the last time you actually did hang out with one of like your buddies then?
I don't know. Maybe the rap party for Lady Doctor?
That was like how long ago was that?
Last year.
So it's been a half a year since you hanged out with anybody.
Yes. Or, maybe it was another shoot a few months ago. That doesn't really count because we were waiting for our scene to be filmed.
Okay. So yeah, it's always yeah. It seems to me that it's always keen to be like work and then stuff, and then that's when it kind of happens. Okay.
Well, it was a long wait. We were waiting for a commercial to be shot, Mom and I, and given how long we had to wait, I even offered if we could all go to the Mom, name a mall, Mesa? Chandler Fashion Center to kill some time, and then we will come back and film our scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, all we did was just wait.
Yeah, it sounds like a waste of time just like waiting and not doing a single thing.
Hmm.
That's, hmm, that's still interesting about the fact of like still all that. And then of course like with you being in like in the whole movie scenes and then saying like you did the scene even though you were extra, you still did it, and then hanging out with those kind of people. Um, okay, so I'm trying to figure out what ways for you to kind of be because you say you're more of an open person, right?
Yes.
Like open meaning like an open book, like everybody knows kind of what you do, or you're just kind of blunt and just kind of say what you say, like that's on your mind.
What I say is on my mind. I'm blunt.
Gotcha. Okay, so kind of like, do you have like a carefree kind of attitude in a sense?
I'm not sure if I ever thought of myself as carefree, but you might have a point.
Because sometimes like even I say that I have a carefree. Like it's kind of hard to say like the things that you can say versus the things that you want to say because of course people are different and some people can't really take
Yeah.
exactly like the blunt, the open mindedness kind of deal.
Yeah.
So
I am open
uh,
minded, but to be honest, my life is as dull as dishwater. I just play video games, write stuff, and sometimes rest and eat.
so would you want your life to be better than just kind of doing that stuff, or you just rather stay in that like the same position?
Maybe a bit more exciting when the opportunity arises. I even go to the movies for re-releases, and sometimes I go to Dave and Buster's with Dad to play games.
Hmm. Okay, so basically something kind of different and something that's outside, kind of different than kind of like going on and on and on, like being in the circle. That's it. Like you don't feel like being in a circle.
Yeah, a little outside the box.
Okay. Hmm. Probably just try to see about some stuff that's just in your area that you could probably do that doesn't require too much in a sense. If you feel like that's something you could try to do. Who knows? Maybe find some people.
Hmm.
Like okay then. So besides the things that you do at home, what do you think do you also do for fun?
Um, well, there's Well, of course, on occasion we would go to Top Golf and then Maverick, sometimes to bowl, and maybe go to the horse track. You know, Turf
Hmm.
Paradise?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
No.
No, you good? I say take your time and gotta adjust your camera. It's all good.
anything else that I can do?
All right. Um, so let's see here. So you said something about bowling and kind of going to the horse races and tracks. Um, sorry about that. What I'm trying to figure out because I don't really know too much stuff about like in your area, and then of course like what do you personally want to do? But it's like, was there anything outside of the stuff that you wanted to do but haven't done yet?
I know I like going to the, the library. One
Mm-hmm.
in, one in Phoenix, one close to me, maybe Civic Center in Scottsdale, given how cozy it feels on the inside. If
Hmm.
there's anything that I haven't really done in my life, it's probably take a train to somewhere like you go on a plane to Las Vegas or a plane to California.
Hmm.
Sadly, that won't be possible until a couple of years later when Amtrak comes back to Phoenix.
I see. So it kind of sounds like you want to go to Cali, huh?
I've just been to San Diego during the first week of this month.
Oh wow, how was that like? Never
Good.
been to Cali.
And of course, there are a couple of places. Of course, I haven't been outside the United States, except for maybe Mexico, so maybe I'd like to go to England
Hmm.
or
Okay,
Japan.
that's
Excuse
it's all good.
me. Yeah.
I say if you need to drink water, then that's all good too, just in case. But yeah, you could probably kind of set yourself up to kind of do that. Now, of course, you need a passport in order to do those kind of things. So probably just prepare yourself for that.
Okay.
Yeah, because and you have a clean record, so you should be good with that. But yeah, if you go to kind of Europe, what place in Europe were you planning to try to go to?
Like I said, England.
Oh
Maybe
wait, England.
Paris.
My bad. Sorry about that. I didn't hear that part. Um, and is it like for the fashion? Is it just like for the tourist things? Like, what's it like?
For some historic stuff, literature, railways.
Hmm, okay, so kind of like seeing like the 1950s and like 60s kind of things. Like you're interested in?
Yes. I don't do zoos, and I don't do politics.
That's valid. It's very very valid. Those things are probably not the best things to talk about. Well, the politics part, anyways. So that's very valid. Um, okay, so it's gonna probably be a while to be able to make a trip unless you have the funds to do it. But if you had to plan a date to try to get go to like Europe and England, what do you think? Like, what do you think that would look like?
If I plan to go to England, maybe I'd see some of the tourist spots, perhaps Big Ben, Buckingham Palace. I am interested in the royal family.
Hmm, okay,
For the rest of
that's
the for the rest of the
oh, yeah,
United States, well, that's more accessible to me. I would want to go to maybe Promontory, Utah, Corpus Christi, Texas, Denver, Colorado, and New Orleans.
so funny enough, I was born in New Orleans, so I can tell you probably everything about that place, at least for the most part.
Good then. And you were saying,
Yeah. Well, I was saying about the fact for the whole like New Orleans part. But yeah, I could basically tell you about like a few things about the kind of the place for the most part. Um, but yeah, if you want to kind of like visit like the whole Colorado and Utah and all that stuff, um, I definitely say you could probably do that. Um, just more or less about kind of once again, if you had to plan a date to do that, when do you think that would be?
the near future. Forgive me if my eyes are closed. they're a little they're a bit in pain. I guess I woke up
They
too
hurt a
early.
little bit.
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay, that's all good. Is it like you kind of stayed up all night, or like kind of just like teary eyed, or anything like that?
Maybe I stayed up all night. Maybe I'm teary eyed. Maybe it's some computer screen. I'm giving them a bit of a rest.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Um, all right. I say as long as you could be able to kind of hear me, that's really what matters for the most part. Um, but
And
yeah,
he's been sick.
okay,
He's just getting over getting the
that
flu
too.
or bad cold or whatever he had.
Getting over like kind of not feeling well.
Yes.
Ah, gotcha. Yeah, I'm basically the same. I honestly had kind of a common cold as well, so yeah, I understand how that is. So yeah, just kind of rest your eyes. Just probably just make sure you don't fall asleep. But otherwise, yeah, you're good. Um, but yeah, I would probably just still ask a few things if that's all good. But yeah. Um, so let's see here. So we talked about for the fact of you basically kind of gaining friends and then like having friends that kind of fit along your timeline and all that stuff, which is still ideal. It's just more or less it will probably take time, um, for the most part. So let's see. I'm trying to see if there's anything else to kind of go by from the notes about what we talked about yesterday. I mean, yesterday, last Wednesday, I believe. Oh, no, it was Thursday. Um, actually, there was something I actually wanted to discuss that actually, which was strange last time. Let me make sure it's changed. Oh yes. So so for Thursday, it's going to be the same time as today. I actually changed that. Apparently, it was a screw up and Divergent. So I talked to my scheduler, and it should be the same time as today to meet. So so now it won't have to meet an hour early. It would be around the same time. So just wanted to kind of let you know that's fits.
Okay.
Yeah, it was strange how that happened, but yeah, I kind of wanted to bring that up. All right. So let's see here. Let me see if there's anything else. Um, for the fact that you said for last time, it was about you kind of more or less partaking in part-time jobs instead of full-time jobs. Um, how do you see yourself maintaining a job fitting into your overall
How do I see a job maintaining to my overall
life goal?
life goal?
Mm-hmm.
Well, probably the same unless I get a promotion.
Promotion. Okay. Um, so with the fact of you still doing more part time, um, not saying that that can't happen, but if what would a promotion look like for you? Like what are we talking about here?
Well, maybe that I become a cash register operator or even work in the offices.
Okay.
Unless, of course, I
Uh,
am complacent with working as a courtesy clerk.
okay. Um, and have you always kind of felt the desire to do those kind of things, or is it just kind of those things that you're like, oh, this is it. I want this promotion. I want this.
Well, there's the difference between a higher promotion and a higher pay. But of
Right.
course, if you get the promotion, you get the higher pay. I mean, another reason I do jobs is for the sake of money.
Well, of course. We are not a charity, to say that much. um, let's see. Okay. And for the most part, are you still more or less only going to do part time jobs and part time jobs only?
Only part time, yes.
Okay. So never considering about doing a full time job ever.
Nope. Unless I become a film director.
Okay. So, all right. So that kind of brings the other question then. So, what if the promotion only acquires you to become a full time? Like, would you still take the promotion, or would you just say no, not for me?
Maybe I could give it a try.
Okay. So it's really kind of more or less like a higher position that would kind of make it to where you would try something, right?
Hmm.
Okay. It doesn't sound like you have a hard time maintaining jobs for the most part, because I know in the notes it says like maintaining a job. It's just, of course, you rather just do part time. Um, unless you do feel like you have a hard time maintaining like an actual job. But I want to hear it from you.
Well, when it comes to hard times maintaining jobs, it's the difficulty and the loads that are like placed upon me. And speaking of loads, I've had to deal with customers at Safeway and Fry's who bought too many items, which mean a lot of bags. But the way they load these up, I would have to require the assistance of another courtesy clerk just to make things go faster.
Hmm. Hmm. Jeez. That sounds like, yeah, that sounds terrible. Jeez. So you don't want like an overloading process of work, huh? Just kind of like just right kind of deal.
Yes, just right. Not too little, not too many. Just right.
Okay. So then, how would that look like for you then?
I would say 25 or 30 groceries per customer.
25, 30 per customer. Have you ever thought about requesting something like that?
Um, well, maybe during my time as a courtesy clerk, I did try asking for help.
Did they decide to do it, or they kind of just shrugged it off?
Sometimes they were busy with other customers.
Okay. Um, would you consider it being like it being short staffed, which is why you have most of the workload then?
Well, maybe I feel like it's short staffed on the days I work there.
That's definitely normally a job's like definitely biggest issue is the short staffed and much. Because I know like if you request it and everything like that, they serve for special decisions. But of course, whenever it's short staffed, it's all fair game. So that's probably what happened, at least in your case. Um, let's see. Another problem that it seems to see is dealing with people who I guess to say are quote unquote immature.
Yes, I've even had to deal with immature users online. Discord, Reddit, maybe even Facebook.
So okay, so then how would you describe them being more like immature? Are they acting childish, or are they
Like, they
just kind of
act
like arguing?
childish, they make memes about me, and sometimes fart jokes, treating me like a meme, and treating me like a baby, and sometimes I would crack back, or maybe this happened once. If you're gonna treat me like a baby, then I might as well eat like one.
I see.
And sometimes when
Because
they get really, really immature, where they go too far, I'm feel that it's like I channel my inner Queen of Hearts and go off with their heads.
I see.
And,
Okay.
and sometimes I'm going to, if you don't stop, I'm going to kill you. That'd be a bit too far.
That'd definitely be a bit too far, especially in the online or definitely in person for sure. But at least you know like that. Um, but it and again, you like to handle people who actually know what they're talking about instead of like the immature stuff. Now, when it
Yes,
comes to the okay,
yes. I like dealing with people who are intelligent. And I love having an intelligent conversation with someone who is very mature.
gotcha, that makes sense. Um, just like kind of how you want with the friends and stuff like that. So then, besides kind of what you said about like how for the immaturity, how else do you handle that when people end up being like that? Do you just ignore it, or do you just go about it?
Maybe I go about it, and maybe crack, I would talk back to them in a way like, you get smart with me, and I'll see to it that you never enter the store again.
Gotcha. Okay. So now to think about it, do you deal it with more in person, or you do it more in online? Like, is it really just kind of both equal, or like
Both.
one's this and
It's
one's that?
both.
Okay,
It's both.
got it. Okay, so definitely, and unfortunately, we always have to deal with like immature people, and that's definitely the biggest saddest part about some things is that we can't control other people's actions and how they are, what they do. Best we can do is ignore them or kind of walk away from certain people like that because there's always going to be that one person that's going to think like, oh, they're this, and they're going to really act childish.
For
So
some users on Discord, I've tried going all drill sergeant on them, but they just still laugh.
it's,
I'm
I
trying
must admit, when it comes to like that, it's like it's Discord. People are never going to take that stuff serious. People in Discord are they're different. It's a people will probably act different because they're online. They are hiding in front of a profile picture. They got no like no things to kind of keep them from being that way. So
And I do try to be nice and mature and intelligent on Discord, among other places on Reddit, even when discussing an honest opinion. Very honest opinion.
okay, so okay, so definitely, it's sad because Discord and Reddit are normally known for like the whole meme thing and all that stuff. And of course,
You
you're trying
think
to be honest and trying to be
you
blunt.
think Facebook is more sane?
Oh no, of course not.
Just as bad.
Social media is just social media. Everybody's gonna be that kind of way. In a
Social
sense.
media is not bad or good, but it can be used for both.
Hmm. Unfortunately, so.
So I'm a centrist.
Like, I definitely can relate into the similar problem that you have, like dealing with immature people. Some people want to believe like they're like a cat or a dog or something like that, and I find that really, really weird.
And even making
Like,
fart jokes in front of me, or even mocking my voice, because I don't sound very manly. I sound very womanish.
I say I wouldn't even consider anything for the voice part.
Do you ever feel
People,
like going off with your head whenever they go, whenever they go too far? Like,
yeah, when really like I know it's like for anything online, people will try to make fun of you for anything. It doesn't matter what you do. They will make fun of like literally anything, and that's the sad reality when it comes to it. But think about this: they may be immature, but they're also insecure. That means you can be the better person at the end of the day.
I mean, whenever I make a meme, I do it that's very intelligent. Like
Right.
I do an image that say caption this, and they come up with their own interpretations. Like I'm testing a person's intelligence.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. Okay. Okay. I see. And like for those Discord and Reddit kind of places, are is it kind of in the group that you actually want to be in, or is it just kind of like a random kind of place?
Like the type of groups I actually want to be in.
Hmm. Okay. So you would have thought you would be able to find some people that's exactly like you, right?
Uh huh.
Hmm. Like, is it just a few people that's doing it, or is it like the whole server?
Like some people, and some even the whole server.
I see. Okay. If it's the whole server, definitely back out of that because ain't worth your time. Just I say it's never worth your time to deal with somebody's ignorance. Was what you really gotta say. Like if you say that you are mature, it's always mature just to kind of step away and not deal with somebody's ignorance. That's the end of the day. It doesn't matter. Just always gotta kind of know when to kind of walk away from certain people because they will never understand. Like people will probably won't understand you, but that's what makes you unique. It makes you different. It makes you one of a kind.
Yes.
So always kind of think of that. Like you one of a kind. Don't let those people just get to you just because like they can't understand you. Just like a saying, they ain't you because they hate you because they're not you.
And the worst part is, I don't know the user's actual ages.
That could be
So I
that too.
don't know
Yes.
why. So I just, like, throw stuff at them, not realizing how old they are until it's too late.
Yeah. Discord or Reddit can be a dangerous place when you're talking to people. So yeah, definitely understand that. Yeah, everything is not what it seems. Definitely not. So yeah, gladly you catch up on that and actually know like when to kind of like, okay, maybe I should step off. 'Cause, yeah, that could be bad. Let's see here. Okay. And do you try to search for like different places every time, or do you just kind of stay in the servers and stuff like that for the most part?
Sometimes I stay in servers and search for other things.
Okay. Um, and for the internet, is that your only? Is that the only time you've been social for the most part?
Yes, and sometimes I wish I could be more social in person. But if I can't find any place to be social with in person, then I do it online. Especially with people I don't know.
Okay. Interesting. Um, so now this begs the question: do you think you're more social online, or you do better in person?
Either one.
Okay. Because I know for some people it's like they're better in online or they're better like in real life. So I didn't know if there was like kind of a mix feeling between two. And you add the same for both of them, right? Like nothing
Right.
different.
Right.
Okay. Um. Hmm. So this makes me kind of wonder something then. If the places that we kind of talked about, maybe you can kind of just use that as a hangout place in a sense. Um, and maybe if you find someone that has like a little bit of interest, maybe just come up to them. Even just giving them a compliment just to kind of start a convo, that can help too.
Yeah.
Compliments really is the best like icebreaker when it comes to conversation. And sometimes like um, here's one thing actually. This is actually what I learned with someone. The more you also recognize their patterns of behavior, so you'll realize kind of like reading someone like a book in a sense, if you think about it.
Hmm.
Like basically what I'm saying is like um, not saying like you'll get bored of someone by chance, but it's like the more you hang out with someone, the more you know like how they are and what's this. So it's like okay, they like you
Yes.
say like oh they can't hang out with you, but then the next thing you know they're like already hanging out with someone or something like that, and you know them like yeah that no or like you know like hey what am I gonna do? I'm gonna do this, so I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do this. So sometimes people are like that, so kind of be on the lookout for that. But yeah, we'll probably start off with try to do that. Just try to work our way of doing it in person, and then also doing it online. But trying to find actual better people to hang out with than dealing with the people that like trigger you and all that stuff. Because it's like I like I don't know whether or not I'm not saying that you want to, but more or less like, do you feel like you have to kind of get involved in those things, or like you don't want to get involved, but it's like, oh great, I got to get my point across.
I want to get my point across.
Okay, so that's definitely one thing that that's what kind of also fuels a fire too. And sometimes, like for those reasons, those are the times where it's like it it's crazy to sound this way, but it's like sometimes staying silent because you know you're right. I know you try to get your point across with people, but also sometimes people will never understand. If you know you're right, you're right. Don't ever try to like prove someone that they're different, because of course everybody's different, and not by everybody's opinion is the same. So you don't want to make it like a debate, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's kind of the thing. Like you don't want to make it like a debate. You may want to get your point across and kind of like say these things, but also like you don't want to make it into like a whole debate and an argument, and then it just kind of rises up for like no reason. So um, probably probably just kind of like work on it. Sometimes even just smiling or just kind of even laughing can actually help too, in a sense. It's like it is. You kind of have like that open-minded kind of like I'm gonna say what I say. I don't care what that one says. I'm gonna say what I say. You kind of already proven that the minute one when you was in this meeting. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna be here. Like, okay. So there's that. Um, so now let's see. So of course, like dealing with the maturity and everything like that. So do you call out people as well, or do you just kind of just keep it to yourself?
I call people out.
Okay. And why exactly do you feel like you have to, in a sense? Is it
Just
to
to,
get that point across?
to make them see sense, to get their point across, and to make them see things from my point of view.
Okay.
And to bring
Okay.
civility and order.
Okay. Um, so here's gonna be a big one then. And I'll say, just be honest with me and everything like that. Do you think your point is always correct by chance? Like everybody else is wrong and you're the one who's right?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So you don't believe anybody's right.
Like, I believe that some people are right.
Okay. Okay. Just had to make sure. Um, for those. I say, of course, some people are right and some people are wrong. But not everybody can be right and not nobody can be perfect. Just devil letting you know. Because we all got our flaws. You know, like I got my flaws and you know you got your flaws. Um, okay. But it is interesting kind of hearing this kind of like stuff for the most part. Um, all right, so let's see about kind of one more topic for like the last like 20 minutes or like 15 minutes before we shut this down. Um, so obviously you kind of have a good thing of social skills, but what particular social skills would you like to improve?
Um, Maybe my choice of words. I don't know what else.
Hmm. Okay, and how do you think your choice of words is proceeded?
Like it might come off as wrong.
Hmm. Okay. All right. So could you give me like an example about it then, like from your perspective?
Like I really say the wrong thing and my
Like
rep
I have an example.
and my reputation gets thrown down the drain.
I have an example.
Mm-hmm.
When we were making Lady Doctor,
Mm-hmm.
we did it with no budget at all. We set up a GoFundMe and we people donated and all kinds of things. So we did the best we could with what we had. And
Right.
Jake is a perfectionist and he wasn't happy with the costumes that we got because we could only get what we could get. And he mentioned it more than one time that he didn't think the costumes were good enough and he didn't think the costumes were good enough and he didn't think the costumes were good enough. And
Okay.
um, it hurt people's feelings and it caused an issue and it annoyed people and people who were donating their time and working very, very hard for a project for Jake. And he just couldn't show appreciation and he couldn't understand that we were doing what we could with what we had and it was enough already about the costumes. So
And of
I think
course,
that's what he means. That's a problem.
and
For
of
him.
course I stopped.
You didn't stop.
Okay.
He even mentioned it at the rap party, so you didn't stop. So that's an issue.
Got it. Okay. So kind of like how you say you do speak your mind in a sense, and that's what's kind of the biggest problem.
Yes. The reason why I wanted the costumes to be perfect was, of course, so that the film could get a good review. And they would say, wow, look at how accurate they are.
Okay, I see. All right. So that makes me wonder then. So were you more worried about other people's opinion then, if that's the case?
Yes. I was worried that the film would get like the equivalent of a Razzie for worst costume.
Okay. So, okay, that I mean, it does make sense about like trying to have like the whole OCD, then like the whole that, and of course, like without like knowing, like oh, costumes aren't perfect. It needs to be this and this and this. Um, like, did you know you were saying those kind of things, or you were like, oh, like, that's what I think, kind of deal.
It was my opinion. I knew what I was
Okay.
saying. And they
Okay.
did try to reason with me.
Okay. So definitely, I see having not saying a hard time with agreeing on like other like people and stuff like that, but it's like you obviously don't want to impress everyone in a sense. You just kind of want to make it to where it was like, oh yeah, this is good. This is everything. Um, and now I think about it, would you actually call yourself a perfectionist then? Like everything needs to be perfect?
I think so.
Okay. So in your own words, why does it have to be perfect?
So that it can be good, honored, and remembered. A work of
Good.
true art.
Okay. So then tell me this. What has been a perfect, beautiful art then?
Let me think. Something from 1900s Vienna. The art scene.
So 1950s arts is the only era where it was actually good, nothing else?
Um, and in the 19th century. And of course, every painting that you see in the Louvre is, is said by many to be a perfect work of art. Even in the
Okay.
art museum here in Phoenix, I find some to be perfect. Of course, with films, I hardly find some to be truly perfect.
Interesting. Okay. So now to think about it, do you look up to different artists then that are like perfect in their own ways?
Aren't perfect in their own ways, you must be referring to pop art, like modern art.
Could
All they
could
do is just draw a line and then allow critics to express their interpretation of it. And then they say, I see what you're talking about.
okay. All right then. Hmm. Well, definitely the perfect perspective. So, do you feel like if it's truly perfect, there's no room for imagination? Like that's it. There's nothing else that you can really do.
Well, that's just it. That's as far as your imagination can go.
Okay. So now let's revert the question about some of the things that you talked about last week, which was one of your scripts. So does that mean like your scripts that you wrote, it has to be perfect in order for it to be done?
It has to be perfect in order for it to be greenlighted.
And what's your interpretation of it being greenlighted to you?
Like the story has to make sense, the dialogue has
Okay.
to be great, every piece of scene and action has to be good.
I see. Okay. So that's really it. Everything has to be good. But in some cases, like what you keep saying, is that everything has to be good, right?
Yes, and everything has to be great.
great, but he didn't say perfect. Just great. Great and good.
And some parts have to be perfect.
All right. Okay. So definitely more of the perfectionist kind of thing, which of course some people they kind of rather have that. Um, so do you always kind of feel like everything, even life in general, has to be perfect? Like you have to find the perfect friends, you have the perfect life, you have to have a perfect car, kind of the perfect all this stuff. Like, is that the case as well?
Maybe life just has to be good, not bad, like in third world countries.
Okay. All right. So it only has to be good, not great, not perfect, just good.
Yes, just good.
Okay. So then what do you think about your life currently? Would you say that it's good then?
Oh, it's a little lazy, a little relaxing, if you call it. But I could make it better if I was richer.
Hmm, that could be another topic for another day for the whole rich part. Um, okay. Um, but I'm starting to get some of the gist and some of the ideas now, at least for the most part. So, all right. Let me just see here. Let me see if there's anything else to talk before I just kind of give a little summary before we meet up on Thursday at the same time. Um, all right. But I am starting to see like some of the things that we will work on as time does go on. That's what's kind of like really kind of the setback about what we're gonna try to do. Now, of course, not everything will be perfect in your eyes, but again, this is a process. Not everything is going to be perfect or great, in a sense, but we gotta try it together. That's basically it. Even if you don't want to be here, hey, we gotta do this. Um, okay, so let me see here. Is there anything else? Um, golly, I get my notification. Sorry about that. All right. Well, actually, you know what? I think that's really it for the notes parts. I think we'll kind of come back on Thursday. So I'm gonna just say like a little bit of summary, kind of what we kind of went over for today, and then if you have any questions, concerns, we'll probably you could ask me, and then otherwise you'll be on your day and go shopping. All right. So today, what we kind of did was kind of talked about kind of what has been kind of like the issues, what has either been a trigger, and kind of what's been kind of going on in life. Start off with kind of a little bit, not like frustrated, but just like a little bit kind of like kind of want to be here type stuff, which is understandable because of course you don't want to make this like a hassle. And again, this isn't like a teaching thing or whatever like that. This is just kind of like a way to help. Um, Another thing is that we identified kind of like what in your terms, what do you like, what do you this. Now, of course, I believe next time we have to kind of focus on trying to get other people's perspective. Um, so that way it's not like, oh, well, this and this and this. Because obviously, you don't want to become a meme. You don't want to become this. You want to be liked. You want to be noticed. You want to make it big. Sadly enough, we have to get people in order to kind of get it like this, but of course we have to do that in order to kind of get things going. Let's see. Talked about kind of like you like maintaining a job, but obviously you don't want to work until you get yourself like a directing job. But of course, we talked about if you do get that self promotion, then okay, you may kind of consider yourself doing that for the most part. Um, but yeah, so that's kind of how we looked at that one. Let's see. Another thing that we talked about was basically, of course, like everything to be perfect. Um, Kind of what Lady Doctor was about the outfits. Um, let's see. Is there anything else? Um, no, not for that. Okay, so what we're probably do next time is kind of come back into this conversation, and also for the time being, we'll kind of work on like having like kind of a role play scenario. So we're kind of role play into different stuff, and we'll go from there. Um, Try to get you kind of a little bit better in like understanding like other people. Like of course having like that open mindedness and carefree attitude. That's good. Do not get me wrong, but also like you do care because in a sense it's like, for example, Lady Doctor, you cared what other people thought. So it's like you do care. Just of course you want to get your point across, which is understandable. But also it's like you also got to think about, okay, when's a good time to say it, when's a bad time to say it, type stuff. 'Cause again, no one was born on this earth to be alone. No one kind of just wants to be bullied. I mean, of course, you don't want to be. So again, we'll work on those things for Thursday, but and then otherwise we'll meet up at the same time as we did today. Change that up already. So with that being said, that should be it. Is there anything else that you want to ask, questions, concern, anything you
No,
want
I
to say
just want to
before we
say
head out?
goodbye.
Just want to say goodbye.
Yes. Goodbye then.
All right. All right. Well, looks like we want to say farewell then. So, guess we'll see you next time. All right, Jake?
Bye.
Later.
Yes.
You did a really good job until the end. You hear me? Did you listen to him? And are you starting to understand where he's coming from?
Yes, I heard.